I had such a great time sitting down with best-selling author Mayur Kalbag. This is one of the most deepest podcasts we've had so far on the show. We talk about the reality of Lord Shiva, who he was, what he symbolizes, the untold truth about Aghoris. Sit down and enjoy this episode till the end. Om Namah Shivaya.
Mahadev represents beyond Hinduism. Aghori itself means he or she who doesn't fear darkness.
Can there be female Aghoris?
Can there be isn't a question. There are. On the dead body of a person, they sit on its body and perform rituals. The bhakti that an entity like Ravana had for Shiva.
Har Har Mahadev, sir.
Har Har Mahadev.
Thank you so much for being here. I know we've been trying to make you come here for so long. A lot of obstacles in between.
True. And the best part was that I have come from Rishikesh, as they call it, the Dev Bhumi. So I'm very excited to be here. And, it doesn't matter what happened and how it all happened, how the planning happened for me to come here. But I'm here right now and I'm very, very excited to talk to you.
Definitely. And it's actually, I wouldn't call it a coincidence, but exactly 1 year ago on March 4th, we were actually in Rishikesh, my family and I.
Okay, that's wonderful.
And we were that's where we took our first dip in the Ganga River, and it was a beautiful experience. We'll get more into that towards this podcast. So because Maha Shivratri is coming up, this podcast will be focused on Lord Shiva.
Correct.
Just a backstory, I think. My mom, she's been, I think I guess her East for a very long time. Her first, the god that she worshipped was Lord Shiva. Lord Shiva he's considered to be the supreme by many people in India. Yes. And I think she was very, very close to him. Actually, every Maha Shivratri, my mom herself, and she would make me as well, stay up the entire night. Actually, as they say, and it would just be an outburst of like energy, It's like, it's very difficult to explain in words, but the entire night it would just be like, almost like this awakening is happening and this realization is happening and this connection with Lord Shiva. So I think that's probably why we wanted to make you come here, because of that solid
Maybe
connection.
If you can rephrase it, I think that's probably why Mahadev wanted us to have this particular podcast on this particular topic of Mahadev.
Yes. So when we speak about Lord Shiva, there's a lot of times a misconception by many that, we associate with him with like the kind of the left side or dark side of Hinduism, where there's Tantra involved. There's ritualistic, tantric, things, rituals involved that is not just the conventional type of rituals that we participate in. There's a lot of different types of, Tantra, and we're going to go into Aghoris as well. So I want to kind of talk a little bit about that why is it that Lord Shiva is often associated with this dark side of Hinduism, where there's Tantra and Aghoris, etc.
To begin with, let me first express my gratitude to you and to your team for inviting me here. I come to this podcast against the backdrop of me being a disciple of my Guru Swami Sadyojata Shankarashram, with whom I went to the Kailash, first the Manasarovar and the Kailash, to do the parikrama of both. I initially would like to say that Mahadev represents beyond Hinduism. Mahadev represents the idea of meditation. I believe every sadhak, student of spirituality, for that entity, for him or her, it's always been, Mahadev has always been an inspiration, because what he says is, go, rise and attain enlightenment. And his methods, which are connected to meditation, are those which everybody can aspire for and practice. As simple as on the day of Maha Shivratri, if you do Om Namah Shivaya, that mantra, if you chant it in your mind with a Rudraksh Mala preferably, it does help you to focus your mind. Therefore, I don't really see dark or light or whatever. I don't see, because if there is a sun, there is a moon.
Yeah, exactly.
So I think Mahadev represents the idea of the ease with which, the breadth with which, the depth with which a spiritual sadhaka aspirant can practice meditation and attain enlightenment. That's the way I look at Mahadev. Beyond darkness is Mahadev. And you will have certain ways like the Aghoris practice, which may come across as a bit of the dark ways, which actually it isn't. If you go to a crematorium and you sit there in the night, firstly, will you be able to? Because it's dark. But
Most
Aghoris
people would not be
wouldn't
able
be
to.
even thinking of,
Right.
going even close to a smashana bhumi. But the Aghoris practice that. Now, that practice may be understood as a bit of dark practice, but actually it's the darkness in which they practice that which is very enlightening.
I think just going a step back for people who might not even really know who Aghoris are or what they represent, I think it's a term, to be honest. Even recently, I studied about Aghoris. Most people I know don't really have the right definition of who they are, what they do, and why they do it. So, can you give us, essentially like a 101 on exactly who are Aghoris?
Definitely, I would love to do that, because I've even written a book on it called Aghoris and Untold Story, where I did go through the process of understanding who they are, because they are with us, they are on this planet, and they practice meditation as well. By the word Aghori itself means he or she who doesn't fear darkness.
Can there be female Aghoris?
Yes,
Or there can.
there
Okay.
are. Can there
Okay.
be isn't a question. There are. But the percentage is very less.
Right.
Because the kind of meditative practices, the Tantra practices that are expected to be done are very stringent. And so the males are more. Okay. But then that's fine. There are other ways of attaining Shivatva. But there are, if you go to the Kamakhya temple in Guwahati, you will come across on certain days the female Aghoris. Yep. Aghoris beyond the gender, whether male or female, are those who have the strength and the willpower and the fearlessness to not just face darkness, but even go beyond. If I can put it that way, in a way where I say that Jnana Yoga, Bhakti Yoga, Bhajan, Kirtan are beautiful ways, marga, paths to attain enlightenment. What the Aghori says, that if you take 6 months of Bhakti Yoga, for example, to reach a particular point of enlightenment, through their marga, which is to go to the cremation ground and do their techniques of meditation, it may take just a week, not a few months. So I wouldn't say they're doing a shortcut, but maybe they're not cutting short, but they are trying to reach the same place of enlightenment, destination, without really investing too much time. जो हम 10 महीने में कर सकते हैं, वो 10 दिन में करना चाहते हैं. What others would take 10 months to do, they want to attain it through a shorter period of time. And mainly what I understood is they are very fearless and a solid strength through willpower. I'm not saying they are the only sect of sadhakas with that kind of an attitude. Even the Naga Babas are that way, or the yogis who practice meditation. Like from where I came, from Rishikesh, if you were to travel even higher, beyond Gomukh, you'll come across some yogis who sit almost bare in the ice to practice certain tantra. So the willpower is tremendously strong. Not only those yogis, but even coming to your question, even Aghoris. Aghor, he or she who doesn't fear darkness. Here the darkness is not only where there is no sun, no moon, complete darkness. It's also the darkness which is metaphoric, dark thoughts, dark actions. They go beyond that. And their main uddesha, their main idea is to attain the enlightenment and merge with Shiva, with Mahadev.
आई थिंक अगर हम लोग फिजिकल अपीयरेंस की बात करते हैं, सो ऑर्डिनरी पीपल लाइक अस, वी वांट कि हम लोग अच्छा दिखें, इवन इफ वी ऑन कैमरा वी लुक गुड, और इफ वी गो आउट इन द पब्लिक वी नो वी वांट कि चलो हम लोग अच्छे कपड़े पहने और वी लुक प्रेजेंटेबल. इट्स ह्यूमन नेचर. बट जितना मैंने अगोरीज को देखा है, इवन इन पर्सन एंड ऑनलाइन, इट सीम्स कि वो ऑनेस्टली अपने फिजिकल अपीयरेंस के बारे में परवाह नहीं करते. And I want to know why is that? Is there a reason? Does it have to do with ego? They are above their, above and beyond their body or their physical appearance. I want to know uska reason kya hai exactly.
Can I touch upon something that's a bit humorous? That,
Okay.
I know of a scientist. He was so involved in his processes of research that after 6 months he had long hair, and he was a bit untidy to look at. But then his research paper was phenomenal. I hope our viewers will understand what I'm trying to say is the Aghoris are, and I'm not only talking about Aghori sadhus or sadhavis, anyone. But now that you ask me about Aghoris, I can say that they're on a path, on a mission to practice certain tantras, certain techniques where they have no time. They are not interested in their upkeep. So the hair grows, then they tie the bun. One of the techniques or one of the things they do is they smear ash all over their body. Okay, this is to make them feel very much one with Shiva.
But why ash specifically?
It's because it also deters insects and things which can come and disturb them, may distract them. So when they sit for meditation, they sit for hours. And they sit at places which could be having mosquitoes and cockroaches and stuff. So with the ash that they put, it is said that it deters and repels such kind of distractions, so that the Aghoris can sit at the place and practice their sadhana. And therefore, coming to the root point is, उसके लिए वो ना उसके बारे में उतने सोचते नहीं कि मैं कैसे दिख रहा हूँ. Practically उनके पास मिरर भी नहीं होगा.
हाँ, right.
So, and if the hair grows and becomes matted, वो tie करते हैं. You'll find a lot of these Aghori sadhus, they've tied their hair like a bun, right? Because they don't even want the hair to come in the way when they're doing the sadhana. बस यही मैं समझता हूँ कि एक व्यक्ति की फोकस होती है कि उनका एम होता है कि उनको शिव तत्व प्राप्त करना है. बाकी सब साइड में, it doesn't matter. That's the answer to your question.
When we talk about like the rituals that Aghoris do, so can you dive into, from your experience or your research, क्या practices होती हैं that Aghoris do, and specifically उनका symbolism क्या है with reaching Shiva?
वैसे तो उनके प्रैक्टिसेस काफ़ी हैं, लेकिन बहुत सीक्रेटिव है Aghori sadhus. I was able to meet with a couple of them and in the present life, okay. मैं always मानता हूँ कि I believe in previous births. In fact, a lot of the stuff that I've written in my part 1 of Aghori, and I'm writing part 2, is based on, a lot of it is based on what I may have encountered, not in this life, in my past lives. Coming to your प्रश्न कि आप वो क्या करते हैं, तो मैं 2-3 practices मैं बता सकता हूँ, जो मैं बता सकता हूँ.
Right.
One is, I've seen this, is there is one practice where the Aghori sadhu is told. By the way, I have to make this very clear that Aghoris also have a guru.
Really?
Yes. हम सिर्फ अघोरी को देखते हैं, वो बैठे रहते हैं स्मशान भूमि में या जंगलों में, बट वो बैठते हैं based on the instructions that he or she receives from his or her guru. Because वो मार्गदर्शन के लिए बहुत ज़रूरी होता है. So one of the techniques they do or practices that they follow is on the dead body of a person, with the permission of the people to whom the dead body belongs, the person belongs, they sit on its body and perform some rituals, which include an important part, which is part of that ritual, while they're seated on the upper body of that dead person in the cremation ground before the cremation happens, is वो बैठ के ना वहाँ पे तपस्या करते हैं कुछ क्षणों के लिए, मतलब कुछ मिनटों के लिए, शायद आधे घंटे के लिए, वो डिपेंड करता है. एंड दे डू सम चैंटिंग्स एंड उनके जेस्चर्स होते हैं एज इफ दे आर कम्युनिकेटिंग विद दैट एंटिटी.
But why do they need to sit on the dead bodies?
So one of the things that I understood, which I can share here, is that बैठने से उस शरीर के जो वाइब्रेशंस है, एनर्जी है, वो इनमें आ जाए, ट्रांसमिट हो जाए. एंड देयर इज अ वे. ऐसे बैठ के नहीं होता है. फर्स्टली आई कांट इवन इमेजिन माई सेल्फ और एनीवन सिटिंग ऑन अ डेड बॉडी. कैन यू जस्ट, I mean, it's even difficult to imagine. लेकिन मैंने देखा है वो बैठते हैं and वो available है, if you're on the internet. But the main thing that I'm trying to tell you is that वो भी एक technique है. The other thing is more simpler, is they do anushtans, that is repeating a particular mantra for maybe 10,000 times, mala. और वो बैठते हैं, जो burnt body का जो ash होता है, उसका हीप होता है, उसके ऊपर बैठ के वो तपस्या करते हैं. अघोरी साधुस प्रैक्टिस, वी कैन से तंत्र मंत्र जो कुछ है, लेकिन मूलतः एट द रूट दे प्रैक्टिस द रेसिटेशन ऑफ मंत्रस. Okay, and they do that at the cremation ground so as to absorb the vibrations and also to connect with certain spiritual energies as well. The energies, not the body, the energies. तो वो मैं आपको बता सकता हूँ. उसके अलावा काफ़ी है जो शायद मेरे पुस्तक में आ जाएगा. बट फ्रैंकली as I'm speaking to you, ये चीज़ें भी अगर लोग पता करें कि ऐसे भी होता है, तो that's great as an understanding of who these Aghori sadhus are. काफ़ी लोगों ने उनको misunderstand किया है.
Right, yes.
कि वो they only drink or they have this very bad temper issues. फिर वो पैसे पूछते रहते हैं. मेरा एक मानना है कि if some yogi keeps asking for alms and money, then there's something wrong, because an Aghori practices his or her tantra or techniques of meditation to attain Shivatva. They don't wear anything except their undergarment, and then they put the ash over their body.
So they don't need any.
They don't need anything, and they don't want to be disturbed. ये मुझे पता है for sure. They don't like to be interrupted or disturbed. कि कोई आके पूछते बैठे क्या कर रहे हो आप और ये कैसे होता है. Even when I had to, I did that because I really was keen. I was genuine. मैं मोबाइल या कुछ लेके नहीं गया था. I only wanted to know. And if they are able to relate to that, then I think it's easier. But it's not easy to just go to an Aghori Baba. Firstly, to spot a genuine Aghori Baba आजकल बहुत difficult है.
Difficult है, हाँ.
तो ऐसा है.
Is it correct to say कि जो Aghoris हैं, Aghori Babas हैं, वो in a way they're not scared of death, and they know what their ultimate goal is. They're not afraid to die because they know their physical body dying is not really a big deal. Is that correct?
Aghori sadhus जो होते हैं वो साधना करते हैं, इसलिए we call them sadhus. साधना करते हैं, meditation practice करते हैं, और जिस शरीर में वो हैं उसको वो संभाल के रखते हैं, because for them it's an instrument. Therefore, their perception about death is very different to our perception of death. उनके लिए philosophically speaking, कुछ बिगड़ता है तो हम replace कर देते हैं. And the replacement could be called anything. In a human being, the replacement is called death. Because that's what I believe, that the soul then wants to take another body, right? It finds a body, gets born, and then grows.
Yeah, I have the same belief. And that's reincarnation, and the cycle
Reincarnation.
goes on.
Absolutely. But while they're in that body, they want to make the best of it. So they will not harm their body, but they will use it to the utmost. वो इतना उसका वापर करेंगे to reach शिवत्व.
I think आप जैसे तंत्रा के ऊपर टच कर रहे थे, we were kind of talking about that. I want to go into a little story. Actually, it's a personal story. So my mom, it's a couple years back now, she actually took me to Maha Baglamukhi temple. And at that time I didn't know much about it, but we were told that when you read about it, that Ma Baglamukhi especially, she's used a lot in tantra, in a lot of rituals. Before, people used to go to her to kind of break their inner vices that might be negative. Now a lot of people go to her for court cases, for example, to get rid of legal battles. The modernization has changed things. But one thing I can say is that definitely as we were approaching the temple and during our time there and the puja, like there was a lot of mystical things that happened, a lot of obstacles, a lot of energies that you could feel are very powerful. So it's just a personal experience that when people say that there are certain gods or goddesses that are used in rituals, or they're chanted when you're talking about tantra, I believe in that because it's kind of a personal experience.
Correct. No, it's true, Amira, that if there's good, then there could be bad as well, or evil as well. Evil may not be that explicit. You can't see it. And therefore, there are these energies like Baglamukhi Kavach hai. Kavach is a protection. I remember, like, you have a story and you shared it so beautifully. I have a person who's a good friend of mine. She's married and everything is going fine, but there were some personal issues in her life, and to such an extent that she started experiencing paranormal, what do you call it? Paranormal experiences, I guess. She would find things moving. She would see like a smoky thing, and it's mainly, I think, to create fear, because I don't see it going beyond that. I hope not. So usko, she, of course, being a God believer, she was told कि ये करो वो करो, लेकिन कुछ हुआ नहीं. Then she was given the Baglamukhi Kavach, and I heard her recite that, and it's so powerful. Coming to your point is, there are energies that can act as protectors. Baglamukhi is one of them. Some of us are given Shiva Kavach. ओम शिव कवचम ओम अस्य श्री शिव कवच स्तोत्र महामंत्रस्य ब्रह्मा ऋषि अनुष्टुप छंदः श्री सदाशिव रुद्रो देवता श्रीं ह्रीं क्लीं बीजम ह्रीं शक्ति रं कीलकम श्री सदाशिव प्रीत्यर्थे शिव कवच स्तोत्र जपे विनियोगः ओम ध्यानम, and then the kavach starts. It's a ओपन-एंडेड कवच, मतलब ऐसा नहीं कि वो मंत्र है कि अरे बाप रे आपने कैसे बताया सबको, ऐसा नहीं. इट्स अ शिव कवच. इट्स देयर. इट्स इवन देयर ऑन यूट्यूब एंड ऑन इंटरनेट. लेकिन इट्स अ कवच. इट्स अ प्रोटेक्शन. कवच इज अ प्रोटेक्शन. तो इसलिए व्हाट यू सेइंग इज ट्रू, दैट समटाइम्स दे कम एंड दे प्रोटेक्ट यू, एंड यू कुड कंस्ट्रू दैट. आप देखते हो कि ये क्या हो रहा है, कुछ अलग लग रहा है. एक्चुअली इट्स अ प्रोटेक्शन बीइंग फॉर्म्ड अराउंड दैट पर्सन. ऐसे मुझे लगता है.
अगर हम लोग भगवान शिव की बात करते हैं, सो आई एम जस्ट गोना प्ले द डेविल्स एडवोकेट हियर फॉर अ मिनट and say that I've heard, or there are friends of mine who, for example, belong to other religions, and they say कि जो आपके भगवान हैं, जैसे शिव जी की बात करते हैं, तो वो खुद अपने आप को संभाल नहीं पाए जब उनको दुख हुआ था माँ सती के बारे में. वो खुद सफ़र कर रहे थे, उन्हें कितनी उद्यम मचाई. एंड आपके खुद के भगवान अपना तो टेक केयर नहीं कर सकते, वो हमारा क्या टेक केयर करेंगे. हाउ कैन योर गॉड सेव अस when they can't even control their emotions or their reactions. And I have a viewpoint in this beforehand, but I want to know your take on this. Like, for example, if I was telling you this statement, तो आपका क्या जवाब होगा?
I would start by saying that Mahadev, Shiv, एक बहुत 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 एडवांस योगी पुरुष है. And sometimes you find it easy to relate with Shiva when you hear such aspects about his personality. Yeah. Because हर एक के अंदर एक शिवा होता है, एक पार्वती होती है. शिव शक्ति कहते हैं हम उसको. Therefore, I think it's been created to make every sadhaka correlate to that entity called Shiva. And it's true with even some other faiths where somebody's put the crown of thorns around and put on the cross, and yet they come out and there's a fresh body, and then there's a resurgence of faith. So I would say that Shiva teaches us through that story, that there will be ups and downs. But through that, you got to still maintain your energy levels and your strength and your sadhana to attain the Shiva Tattva or the Shivatva. I would love to know your take, though. This is what my take is.
My take is, at least what I've discussed this with my mom as well, that we think it's essentially like what you call maybe Leela or a divine play that gods or goddesses might portray. Again, like you said, to teach you, right? Sure. Even when we look at like the lives of Lord Krishna, right? I mean, he's God, right? But the fact is, the way his stories are portrayed, where he went through these sufferings, and he parted away from Radha, and there's a lot of different. So, like, people might say that, okay, did that really happen? There's a lot of speculations, but I think, or what I believed is that it's in a way a leela to again.
When you see an Indian soldier, and you meet that entity, that person at a wedding. He's got that personality where you say, hey, hi, how are you? Kitni badi ho gayi? And, you talk to the person and he's like a good friend. Ya uncle hai. The same entity, without your knowledge, you may not know, but he's a commando of the Indian Army. And when the call comes, there's a development or there's a change in the personality. And he becomes the best commando of the Indian Army. तो बट वही व्यक्ति एक दूसरी स्टोरी आपको बताता है कि मैं हूं आपके जैसा ही. बट व्हेन द सिचुएशन डिमांड्स, कृष्णा showed to Arjuna his rupa, Mahaswarup.
His real form.
Yeah, his form. Similar is the case with Mahadev, is when things have to be destroyed, his third eye opens up, or things have to be created. There is Mahadev there. There's a story about how he engaged with Ravana, who was arguably the most ardent bhakts of Shiva. He wrote the Shivatandav Stotra, which is also therefore known as the Ravana Stotra. And for your viewers, to give you a glimpse of how Ravana was, Ravana is the same thing. We think Ravana was a villain. Yes, for what he did, he deserved what he got. But he was a Shiva Bhakt, and he was a Sanskrit scholar. And उन्होंने शिव को इम्प्रेस किया था. वरदान में उन्होंने कहा आप आइए हमारे साथ.
Yes, I am aware of that story.
But he articulated that Shiva Stotram. I would like to recite one couplet as a remembrance of this Bhakta. Om Shivatandava Stotram Jata Kata Hi Sambhraman Brahman Nilimpa Nirjhari Vilo Lavi Chivallari Virajamana Murdhani Dhagat 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 Jwalallata Patta Pavake Kishora Chandra Shekhare Rati Pratikshanam Mama Kada Nilimpa Nirjhari Nikunja Kotare Vasan Vimukta Durmati Sada Shirasta Manjalim Vaham Vimukta Lola Locha Lola Lama Bhala Lagnaka शिवेति मंत्र मुच्चरन् kada sukhim bhavamyaham. Om Namah Parvati Pataye Hara Hara Mahadeva. He wrote this. इसको लयबद्ध भी उन्होंने किया. And that is the power of the bhakti that an entity like Ravana had for Shiva. But Shiva, like you said, has different personalities. The way he was with Parvati and that story. It's just to make us relate with that entity. वो ध्यान भी करते हैं तो कोई उनको डिस्टर्ब नहीं कर पाता था. वो तीव्रता उनके साधना में, that is what we should aspire. On Mahashivratri, having a Rudraksha or just sitting and doing Om Namah Shivaya, 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 Om Namah Shivaya. If you do this 108 times in your mind, mental chanting of Om Namah Shivaya, it will fill you up with a lot of strong and positive vibrations of Om Namah Shivaya. That part also we must remember. But he did have other aspects to make us feel that, अरे ये तो महादेव तो हम भी हैं महादेव जैसे. Something like that.
I think one thing जो मैं clarify करना चाहती हूँ is that Ravana, which is, he's considered to be, like you said, so-called villain when we speak about his character in Hinduism or stories. So, but he was a very big devotee of Lord Shiva, which I'm also aware of. तो वहाँ पर थोड़ी confusion है कि वो क्यों उनकी भक्ति भी थी and Lord Shiva impressed भी हुए and that part was real, but क्यों उन्हें फिर भी negative acts portray करे and why was he still a negative
and
character?
I have a very cute answer to that. I love to answer it with similes, metaphors. When I was gifted a pair of shoes, I was very happy, a good brand. And then after just 2-3 days, I had a couple of friends. One of them, when we went football, he was wearing a pair of shoes which were far better. And he kept showing it off, that without the words, right? The way he was strutting around and all, making it very imperative for us to look at the shoes. Sometimes when you know you're very good, you're unknowingly or knowingly filled with ahankara, ego. And that's exactly what I call is the downfall. The beginning of the downfall of Ravana is the ego that I am Ravana, I am strong, I am the greatest bhakta of Shiva. No one else can be, coming close. Just like these are my shoes and these are the best I have. When you have this kind of ahankar and you're bereft of humility, vinamrita, which is so important. Confidence and vinamrita जब साथ में आते हैं, I feel that's a great catalyst, a wonderful catalyst for sadhana. लेकिन अगर अहंकार है और आपके बात करने का जो तरीका है वो भी बहुत उष्ट है, it's very rude and curt and insulting. It will create a scenario where you will, जो कहते हैं हिंदी में, अपने पैर पे आप कुल्हाड़ी मार रहे हो. So when a person thinks so good about himself and everything else is mediocre, and then for him when he saw Sita, he was like, ये तो मेरी होनी चाहिए. And then you listen to the wrong voices saying that, oh, she's so beautiful, you are the great girl, Ravana, you should. And that's how I describe as the beginning of the downfall of Ravana. It's a lesson for all of us that when we do well in life, in whatever sector, if you meditate, if you do your bhakti to your Ishtadev, it could be anyone. It could be Lord Krishna, it could be Devi Saraswati, Durga, or Shiva. It will make you humble. It will make you respectful to the people with whom you interact. भले आपके पास बहुत कुछ है और उस व्यक्ति के पास ज़्यादा नहीं है, फिर भी you will work together as a team. I believe that did not happen with Ravana, which is why he had to face the arrows of Rama.
I think मुझे actually topic बहुत interesting लगती है because specifically
I
because
hope I answered your
no, you
question.
answered it very well, and actually you were going into ahankar or ego.
Yes,
I
yes,
really
yes.
like this topic because my mom,
Yeah.
she's like, she's like the one thing that she always tells me about or tells me to be cautious about
And
is ego.
if I can add,
हाँ जी.
if you have confidence, it's great. But allowing the confidence to reach a level where you think others are nothing, that's where the ego is creeping in. And आई थिंक जो साधना करता है, मेडिटेशन करता है, उसको पता चलता है कि कुछ तो गड़बड़ हो रहा है. आई नीड टू रिलैक्स. कम ऑन मयूर, डोंट बी सो एरोगेंट. Relax. You're not some great guy. There are many others. You may be good. I think that's probably where I come from. For all of us, I think it's good to have good self confidence, but in limits.
I think my mom tells me that inferiority and superiority are both forms of ego, right? Being less confident is also not good because you're just always victimizing yourself. It's a
Correct.
form of self-victimization.
Absolutely. मैं तो कुछ नहीं हूँ,
हाँ.
मैं तो ऐसे ही हूँ. अरे, you're a black belt in martial arts. नहीं नहीं, वो तो ऐसे बेल्ट डाला था लेदर वाला, तो ब्लैक बेल्ट लग रहा. That kind of complete absence of self confidence
That is a form of
is
ego as well.
not is also not good.
हाँ, exactly.
फिर तो आपके ऊपर से सब चले जाएंगे यार.
हाँ.
You have to be confident. I believe the soldier's confidence is the best confidence for me. जो कोई soldier होता है, I'll speak about our Indian Army or Air Force or Navy. वो तो एक होता ना कि how's the जोश. कोई बोलेगा how's the जोश, आप बोलेंगे hi sir. ऐसे थोड़ी होता है hi sir. वो एक, you have to speak with that confidence. Of course, soldiers express also in the way which is a bit assertive. We can be assertive in our non-verbal way as well. The way we walk, the way we talk, the way we behave. That's what Mahadev teaches us. Har Har Mahadev.
I'm loving this conversation.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, I think Lord Shiva, he has many names. One thing I found very surprising when I first found out was that he's also called, I think,
Bholenath.
Volenath.
Yeah.
Volenath. So it's like, okay, so there's a form of him that's completely destructive and this this persona that's so outrageous in a way, and then you have Volenath, which is like innocent, naive, pure. How can these two forms
It's
go together?
beautiful, actually. It's a beautiful, lovely mocktail of a personality. I feel that हमारे में ये सब गुण होने चाहिए. अगर हम एक रेस्टोरेंट में गए, in a hotel, and the chef is explaining something that we don't know, and you are genuinely seeking an answer and you're excited, that's your भोलेपन. अगर आप भी हाँ हाँ मुझे पता है, अगर उसने पूछा क्या पता है बताइए, you're dumbfounded because you are all the time trying to show that you also know this. I also know everything like you do. That we should be a little careful about. That is the Bholenath ka bholepan. It's very, I call it, I say it's a very subtle innocence. Subtle innocence. When you have to be confident and be convinced about something, you be that way. When you're not, when you're projecting the fact that you're curious, and people say, ये तो बहुत भोला है, उसको ये पता नहीं है. Yes, I don't know, but I'm willing to learn. वो भी confidence आ जाता है. And that comes also with your japa. The remembrance of Mahadev. When you go to Rishikesh, there are a lot of sites in Rishikesh, Mayur, where they have river rafting on the Ganges.
Yes. When we went there, we saw there were a lot.
So I say to the youngsters, a lot of youngsters are doing well with the Guru's grace, with the Lord's grace. They make good money and all, and they travel across the world. And I went to Italy and all. अरे यार ऋषिकेश जाओ. थोड़ा वो क्या kayaking होता है, kayaking कहते हैं उसको, river rafting, white water river rafting. I've done that. That's also sadhana, because you have to be attentive. You can't be overconfident. नहीं मुझे आता. No, you don't. You have to
be
learn.
in the present moment.
Absolutely.
That is meditation.
And you have to be alert. I believe when you get into some adventure activity like rappelling, rock climbing, kayaking, it also is part of meditation, as long as you have the remembrance of Mahadev or any Ishtadev.
Yeah. Shivji was or is very, very compassionate and loving,
Yes.
even though people might say he doesn't look like that. I want to go into, of course, the story of Maha Parvati and Lord Shiva. So,
Yes.
मेरी एक basic understanding है, which I've learned from my mom and what she's learned from our guru, but is that basically Maha Parvati was an incarnation of Ma Sati, right?
Right.
And then that whole Leela we were talking about happened between Lord Shiva and Ma Sati.
Correct.
And then I know it's in bits like Ma Parvati had to do a lot of tapasya. Can you just go into again like a little bit of a brief about that?
Because you brought in the element of love and emotion, I would like to put it in a more philosophical perspective.
that's also fine.
Because stories
Is to teach you anyways.
Is teach you, yes. Is to teach you, and there are a lot of floating around. You can always gather that. But what can you learn from it? Is for the youth of today, especially, and the people who are looking forward to love, what Shiva, Mahadev represents is also the element of complete selfless connection of love with the person. For Mahadev, it was Parvati, earlier Sati. Um, Despite the difficulties, despite the problems, it is important, ups and downs. How strong is your bond with that entity? That's what you can learn from Mahadev and his love for Parvati. Even when he had two of his kids, Kartikeya and Ganapati, the father's love for the kids also comes out. So I say to the married people who are, who want to be good parents, is learn that also from Shiva. So whether it's Parvati or it's Kartikeya and Ganapati, Mahadev also teaches us that the undying affection, love, and connection that gives you a lot of happiness. How to harbor that? There are a lot of couples who, there are issues and things happen, ups and downs, and it's become very easy to break up a relationship.
Yes, exactly. Or divorce is just rising up the charts now
Correct.
across the world.
So it's easy to let go, but it's more difficult to hang on to that. And that's what I think Mahadev teaches us is hang on and find out and work on something, work on that relationship. I've seen the father and son relationship getting strained as the son grows bigger and bigger, as in not bigger with size,
Older,
with age.
yes.
But I think Mahadev's strength and belief in himself as who he is, the creator, but yet he was a Bholenath to his kids.
He was a very family oriented
Yes,
individual.
so being family oriented and still doing a japa. मैं एक व्यक्ति को मिला था अभी recently at the retreat, the Anahata that I conduct at Rishikesh. तो मैंने इतना ही बोला कि भाई, because there were aspects like time नहीं मिलता है, बहुत busy schedule है, and he's from Delhi. तो मैंने इतना ही कहा कि भाई तू ब्रश करता है ना, ब्रश करता है अपने दांतों का? बोलते हैं हाँ, क्यों? वो डर गया. He went 1 foot behind thinking, why am I asking that? It's hygiene, right? I said, do you eat your lunch or do you keep eating all the time? नहीं सर, मैं तो थोड़ा लेता हूँ because बढ़ गया थोड़ा weight. Okay. आप स्नान करते हैं to keep your body fresh. Do you? I said, yes. So you have the time to do your brushing of teeth and your snan. You are expected to just do 5 minutes of Om Namah Shivaya jap. I told him, yeah, but you have hundreds of excuses not to do that. And that's a bath for your mind.
Yes, it's inner cleansing.
Yeah. Now, हम तो क्या होता है ना, काफ़ी लोगों को लगता है कि ध्यान करना मतलब 3 बजे उठो ब्रह्म मुहूर्त के टाइम पे 3 a.m. and then you sit for like 2 hours. That's when they realize, यार बाप रे ये तो. But you can start off with 5 minutes and preferably before your meals, because you can't really do a japa and meditation with your tummy full with food. So do it before. आपके स्नान के बाद एक 5 मिनट बैठ कर करो. आपके घर में अगर देव घर है, देवी घर है, तो उसके सामने एक अगरबत्ती जलाओ and just pray to the Lord for strength and do your meditation of Om Namah Shivaya or Om Ganapate Namaha or chant a shloka or a stotra which is connected to that Lord that you feel is your Ishtadev. अगर आप वो नहीं कर सकते हैं, then there's a problem. So वो हंसने लगा. But I think that's the same thing with a lot of us. We can do it, but we are finding too many excuses not to do it. But we can. We should give it a try. And because Mahashivratri आ रही है, मैं तो सबको कहना चाहता हूँ कि make a beginning from that very, very important spiritual day.
I think जैसे आप बात कर रहे थे about you made a point about what you should ask Lord Shiva, right, while praying. So this goes back to just like a few days back. I was in an Uber trip, and the car driver, sometimes they start discussions, and he started talking about Lord Shiva and just giving his general advice के अगर आप शिव जी के पास जाओ तो ये चढ़ाओ, ये नहीं चढ़ाओ, इस टाइम में जाओ and all that, and you should ask for this and this and career के लिए पूछो and all that. We were just listening, but it made me reflect कि actually if you're going to a temple, and let's just take Lord Shiva for example, आपको भगवान से क्या मांगना चाहिए? I think a lot of times, at least when we're kids are growing up, we ask God कि मुझे ये दे दो, या material success, material wants, career, which I think is fine. You want to ask that. Like, and there obviously is a deeper message to it, which I've started to realize. I know we have a temple in our home actually, and my mom, whenever she says to just go to the temple, light a diya, and just ask for, like you said, strength or courage, or to remove your negativities. You should just ask if you're not, wanting. If you can't do it yourself, sometimes it's very hard. If you have like a habit,
Correct.
कभी-कभी मुश्किल होता है उसको remove करने के लिए.
In
So you ask
fact,
for strength.
no, it's lovely that you share this, and a lot of regard to your mother who's brought you up this way. Really, मैं नमन करता हूँ उनको, because ultimately as kids, who do we look up to initially? Our parents. So really very sweet of your mother. I believe in the same thing that strength is what we should pray for. If there's an actor and he knows he has to go for auditions, maybe 20 auditions in a month, or maybe 3 auditions in a day, he wants to do a lot of work, but there's a lot of strength required, willpower required. You have to hone your skills, go to the audition, finish that, go to another audition with the same level of exuberance. तो वहाँ पे you need the Shiva Shakti. You need Shiva's grace. It's not about मुझे वो रोल चाहिए. It's about मुझे वो strength चाहिए, वो शक्ति चाहिए, जिससे मैं मेरी ऑडिशन अच्छी तरीके से मैं दे दूं.
और अगर rejections होती हैं तो
And
उसको
to deal
कैसे-
with the rejection. Absolutely. Because, and that comes not only with the prayer, Amira, it also comes with a lot of japa. When you go to the gym, अपने जो भाई लोग हैं वो जाते जिम में.
My brother goes, he's been going every day.
So if he's here, I would have asked him. When you go to the gym, and I'm sure he'll agree with me that एक week में you can't suddenly become Sylvester Stallone and Arnold Schwarzenegger और अपने सलमान खान. It will take time. If I expect by lifting weights to get good shoulders and good muscle, पूरा एकदम तगड़ा, it will take a year. With consistent practice, महादेव मुझे वो शक्ति देना कि मैं हर दिन जा सकूं और अच्छे ढंग से मेरी एक्सरसाइज में कर सकूं. अगर मैं वो नहीं कर सकता हूं, इफ आई डोंट हैव द स्ट्रेंथ, आलसीपन आ जाता है कि आज नहीं कल जाएंगे यार, हफ्ते में 3 बातों में जाऊंगा, एंड देन यू एक्सपेक्ट द सेम रिजल्ट्स. सो स्ट्रेंथ, prayer for strength is important, but just like when you do the lifts, when you lift the weights, धीरे धीरे वो मसल स्ट्रेचिंग हो जाता है, धीरे धीरे. देन आफ्टर से 7-8 months यू फील अरे अच्छा आ रहा है, वेन्स दिख रहे, वेन्स, तो लोग ऐसे चलते हैं ऐसे, विच इज गुड. बट व्हेन यू डू जपा, इट sharpens your mind. It makes your mind more observant. It makes your mind more tivra.
Vivek, just ability
हाँ,
to have
Vivek,
that.
your ability to discriminate between or differentiate between what is good and what is not so good. उसमें वो strength आ जाती है with japa. And japa can be the mantra that has been initiated by your guru, which will have maybe certain elements in the japa. हम उसको बीज अक्षरा भी कहते हैं. Which is not supposed to be revealed, by the way. It's only between the guru and the shishya or the student, sadhaka. Yeah, it could be Om Namah Shivaya. It could be every day you chant for 11 number of times Maha Mrityunjay Jap. That also can elevate your mind. And then when you're elevated in your mind, your har din आपके जो interactions होते हैं, they will also start, you'll see a change in that as well. आपका व्यवहार बदलता है, आपके बात करने का जो तरीका होता है वो बदलता है. ओम त्र्यंबकं यजामहे सुगंधिं पुष्टिवर्धनम् उर्वारुकमिव बन्धनात् मृत्योर्मुक्षीयः मामृतात्. वो बोलने का भी एक उच्चारण में भी there should be correctness. So whoever wants to learn the Maha Mrityunjay Jap, learn it properly. It will add a lot of vigor and strength in your day-to-day activities.
No, yes, I actually, that specific jap that you just said, chanted.
Yeah.
So my mom used to chant it as well, I think, when my nani passed away during that time a lot.
Yeah.
So, because again, it gives you strength and it gives you resilience during that time. So,
see, a lot of people know intellectually that ये तो क्या है, ये तो खेल है.
हाँ, philosophy,
लाइफ एंड डेथ खेल होता है. बट एक्चुअली जब भी होता है, जब भी कोई पास हो जाता है हु इज वेरी क्लोज टू यू, इट्स नॉट ईजी टू प्रैक्टिस दैट फिलोसफी इफ यू आर नॉट डूइंग योर मेडिटेशन एंड योर जप. बोलने के लिए ठीक है, बट एक्चुअल में प्रैक्टिस करने के लिए यू नीड योर जप. दैट्स व्हाई आई ऑलवेज बिलीव दैट जप करना बहुत ज़रूरी होता है. आई एम अ बिग 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 फैन ऑफ जपा एंड स्तोत्र पठना. वो भी बहुत मंत्र होते हैं. फिर there are certain verses from the Vedas that are plucked out. They become shlokas. A collection of those shlokas will become a stotra. Mantra, stotra, shloka. Japa of your mantra and recitation of your shloka. Om Shiva Shaktya Yukto यदि भवति शक्तः प्रभवितुं न चेदेवं देवो न खलु कुशलः स्पन्दितुमपि अतः स्वामाराध्यां हरिहरविरिञ्चादिभिरपि प्रणौतुं स्तोतुं वा प्रथितकृपया पालय विभो. Om. This becomes a shloka. But ऐसे काफी सारे श्लोक हैं. This is the shloka from the Saundarya Lahari Stotrams. There are lots of these couplets. Maybe more than 63 or more than that. Can you imagine so many? लेकिन आप इसको आप उसका पाठांतर कर सकते हैं. You can learn it and practice it. And it is about Devi Saundarya Lahari, written by Adi Shankaracharya. Similarly, there's one more which I recite a lot because it's very philosophical, but it awakens the awareness that we're all the same and we have to practice our japa. If I may, can I? Om Jagrat Swapna Sushuptishu Sputataraya Samvidujrum Bhrate Ya Brahmadi Pipili Kantu Tanushu Prota Jagat Sakshini Saivahang Nachadrishavasthita Dhridat Pradnyapi Yasyasti Chet Chandalostu Satut Vijostu Gururit Yesha Manisha Mama. Om. This is from Manisha Panchakam. Only 5 shlokas called Manisha Panchakam. Pancha.
What does this mean? What you
So,
just recited?
Jagrat. So, the best part about something that I chant is, as you listen to it, you'll understand. Jagrat Swapna Sushupti. Jagrat Swapna Sushupti. Shrisputataraya Samvid Ujrum Bhrate. So, whether you're in Jagrat, Swapna Sushupti, I can feel it. That whether I'm in the awakened state, I'm in the dream state, or I'm in complete Nidra state. बोलते ना आज इतनी नींद पड़ी पता भी नहीं चला. That kind of state. सुषुप्त. The samvit, जो अंदर का जो consciousness है, it is ever glowing. In all the 3 states. And there's another state called Turiya.
The fourth state.
The fourth state. But I'm talking about the shloka. That's one comparison. Whether you're in this state, that state, or the other state, the soul is ujrum bhrate. Ujrum means it's effulgent. Whether you're Brahman, superconscious, Mahadev, or you're a pipilika, you're an ant. They've shown that also in the shlok. He says, "Ab itne bade bhi ho ya itne chote, you are the same." And therefore, practice your japa. This is how I interpret it. Practice your japa and keep growing spiritually. Whatever the state is, you are part of that ultimate consciousness. That's what I understand from this shloka of Manisha Panchakam. But coming back to your the root point is, it's important to practice even stotra chanting. There's another one which I feel very energetic. Can I chant?
Yes.
And it's got Shiva in it.
Okay.
Om Daridrya Dahana Shiva Stotram. Actually, it's a bit longer. Om Daridrya Dukkha Dahana Shiva Stotram. Vishveshwaraya Vishakantha Vibhushanaya Karanamrutaya Shashishekhara Dharanaya Karpura Kanti Dhavalaya Jatadharaya Daridrya Dukkha Dahanaya Namah Shivaya Daridrya Dukkha Dahanaya Namah Shivaya Daridrya Dukkha Dahanaya Namah Shivaya Charmambaraaya Shava Bhasma Vilepanaya Bhalekshanaya Phanikundala Manditaya Manjirapada Yugalaya Jatadharaya Daridrya Dukkha Dahanaya Namah Shivaya Daridrya Dukkha Dahanaya Namah Shivaya Daridrya Dukkha Dahanaya Namah Shivaya. Om. This is the Daridrya Dukkha Dahana Shiva Stotra. So, if our viewers, I chant it. In fact, in my retreats, when we conduct, I tell them, be practical. So I tell them, no lecture bazi from my side. We're going to learn. So at 5 in the morning or 6 in the morning, depending how cold it is, people come at the retreat and we learn this. The participants sit जैसे वैदिक स्कूल्स में होते थे, and then we chant Vishveshwaraya. Come on, say it. Vishveshwaraya Vishakantha Vibhushanaya. So are you realizing how beautiful it is and pleasantly a bit challenging also? So when you learn one couplet, like I actually chanted 2. Charmambaraya Shava Bhasma Vile. So when I say Bhasma, I actually feel the Bhasma on Mahadev. Charmambaraya Shava Bhasma Vilepanaya Bhalekshanaya Kundala Manditaya. Softness. Manjirapada Yugalaya Jatadharaya Daridrya Dukkha Dahanaya Namah Shivaya. Daridrya Dukkha Dahanaya Namah Shivaya. And it is written by Vasishtena Kritam Stotram Sarva Roga Nivaranam Trisandyam Yah Pathe Nityam Sahi Sarvam Avapnuyat. So when you say it at the end, you also give the respect to Vasishta Muni who wrote this. Just like Adi Shankaracharya, there are many rishis. I call them my ancient scientists. तो ये है. And you know what? I'm so happy that you joined me for the first time ever on a podcast. The interviewer is with me and practicing Daridra Dahana Shiva Stotra. Take your time. It's not like you have to learn it tomorrow and all. Kuch exam nahi hai. But just like muscle building, it helps in mind sharpening when you say this. Yeah. Whether we are sharp or not, I don't know. But it helps a lot.
No, it's very beautiful. Every shlok that you chanted is beautiful.
Even the other one, like I chanted, it's so ethereal. I feel Shiva Shaktya Yukto Yadi Bhavati. तो उसमें वो भी आता है strength. Yadi Bhavati Shakta Prabhavitum. That way, and it goes on and on. There's one more very beautiful. I'll just say one line of that couplet. Traivedyam hridyam tripura haramadyam trinayanam jata bharodaram chaladuragaharam maisadam Mahadevam Devam. It goes that way. It goes on and on. And there are many such shlokas. You can dip into it, pick up a few droplets and make it part of your life. Life change ho jayegi.
That's amazing. And it's very good because you actually practically implement.
Like Mahadev, you know the story, you know who he was, you know Parvati. But only knowing is not going to help you that much compared to you learning something and practicing it. I may know the 10 ways of building my body. Ultimately, gym कौन जा रहा है? घर पे बैठ के सब पढ़ रहे हो? नहीं होता. You have to lift the weights. Then you'll see a change in your muscles.
Exactly.
Or should I say muscles?
Yes, exactly. And, you were mentioning Adi Shankaracharya a few times. And it is a coincidence because just a few days back, we had Swami Sarvapriyananda ji on the show, who's a very renowned Vedanta teacher, and he actually talked to us about Adi Shankaracharya. So he explained to me the story of how, he was an incarnation of Lord Shiva, and he was one of the, main teachers or leaders we look up to today for spreading Advait Vedanta, which is all about oneness, or one with Brahman, everything is, Brahman. Yes. So, वहाँ पर थोड़ा सा, if you can clarify, because there is that idea that Lord Shiva is my God, my Isht, Bhagwan hai, and उनको respect करना है. But then, if you're looking at the teachings of like Adi Shankaracharya or the Advait philosophy, they say that you are one with Shiva. So and what Aghoris say, they want to merge with Shiva. So how can those two things go together?
I would say that when you were even asking me this question, I was thinking about this, that हर एक में शिवत्व होती है, परंतु to let it envelop you completely, it will take time. Time is very subjective, so I cannot say it will take days, weeks. It could take lives. आज मैं जब भी आपसे बात कर रहा हूँ, मुझे ये एहसास होता है कि आप बहुत दिल से you're keen to know about Shiva, and you are a practitioner. You're very genuinely keen and sincere about learning, just like your mother and your brother are rather. But it will take time to grow. It's the same logic of wanting to have muscles which are 22 inches big. In a day you can't. You have to keep doing it. A person who was as thin as a wire, with the proper diet, proper guidance, after 10 years can become as amazing as an Arnold Schwarzenegger. ऐसे भी हुआ है. Similarly, what Adi Shankaracharya probably says And he was. He had reached a point where Shivatva was him and he was Shiva. That is enlightenment. When you know that is it. Have you heard of Raman Maharshi? Yes. That is what happened to them. They realized. And all they did was speak through their gaze. People who don't know Ramana Maharshi, Tiruvannamalai, my guru has gone there, and I've read about him as well. I want to go there once. It's called his ashram, where it is against the backdrop of the South Kailash, or the Kailash of the South, where there's a hill, a huge one. But coming to my point as an answer to your question is, आप जितना ऐसा नहीं कि I'm different, Shiva is different. It is within us the ability to become Shiva.
We have the potential to
Absolutely.
have his...
इसलिए तो yogis जाते Himalayas में, Aghoris उनकी साधना करते हैं, because they want to become fully Shiva. As in, वो शिव तत्व आना है उनमें परिपूर्ण तरीके से. I would say the beginning would be when you understand the difference, the viveka between what is good and what isn't. The importance of being humble or being nice. As in English, they say, it is nice to be important, but it is more important to be nice. That, I believe, is spirituality. People ask me sometimes, generally, I say, what is being spiritual? Kabhi kabhi I go Insta live and also they ask, what is spirituality? To me, frankly, Amira, it's about being a good human being. It starts there. And then you have to, like a Shaolin monk who goes to the monastery somewhere and practices, and that's his or her tapasya. वो तपस्या जब भी हमें लगता है कि वो करनी है तो कर जाएंगे. काफ़ी ऐसे हैं जो सब छोड़ के जाते हैं Himalayas, of course, and they're in search of the Guru because something has awakened. But Shiva हमारे में ही है, but waiting to evolve. And I hope such kind of podcasts will happen more often because, even if it's one drop of knowledge or something they pick up, that turns into a thought process for them. You never know when it can turn into an action. I hope it turns into action soon.
I think it does. I think I could go on and on asking questions because you are so knowledgeable, but I feel like we covered so many deep topics in this one episode. I think the viewers who are watching this, if they want to take chanting from this, they can take that. If they want to take the importance of japa meditation, they can kind of try to implement that in their life.
And if they're thinking about क्या करना है जप, कौन सा जप करना है, Om Namah Shivaya, Shiv का जप है, is the most safe and best jap. Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya. Not Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya. ऐसे नहीं, Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya. In your mind, you start with the voice and then you murmur at 3 levels. One is the sound, Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya. Then, it's murmuring. Then, internal. That's the way there'll be a birth of beautiful, practical, fragrant spirituality in all of us.
That's so beautiful. Thank you so much, sir, for being on the show and for recording this episode. It
Definitely.
was wonderful. I got to learn a lot, and I'm sure that individuals watching this will as
Definitely.
well.
And if I can be allowed to, I would like to recite a shloka. I recite shlokas because I love them.
Yes.
And it gets me closer to Mahadev. But most importantly, it gets me the closest to my Guru, Swami Satyajat Shankarashram. एकान्ते कृत संविदग्निहावनेन आत्मावबोधप्रदं ह्रीङ्काराक्षरवल्लभं मृगधरं हेमाद्रिबाणासनं राकाचन्द्रसमानकान्तिवदनं श्रीराजराजेश्वरं शोकारण्यदवानलं सुखकरं श्रीसोमनाथं Bhaje Shri Somanatham Bhaje Om. Dhanyavad. I'm still
Thank you so
practicing
much.
this, but I just felt like saying it here.
It was beautiful. Thank you so
Har Har
much. Har Har
Mahadev.
Mahadev.